I'm Peachy. Welcome back to my channel. Um, you are most welcome to join me here. First of all, let me say that. And then let me get into the story of how I almost died and a medical professional kinda almost paralyzed me or killed me. So this one's gonna be interesting. Okie dokie. So the story starts in around the end of February 2016. I used to go to town a lot, traveling with public transport, and I suddenly, at the end of February, closer to the end of February than the beginning of March, I suddenly just started feeling ill. And what happened was, I thought it was a flu. I just was feeling really, really bad. And I had no thought that it could be anything worse than a flu, but I just went downwards with mouth. And I had a lot of like flu-like symptoms, severe headache, I had coughing, I had a sore throat. I mean, it was 2016, so that was like 6 years ago. I can't really remember all of the symptoms, but I do remember having a severe headache. I had light sensitivity. I could barely open my eyes. I could barely move. And when I coughed, I would start, apologies for this, but I would start vomiting if I like started coughing. And so to me, I was like, wow, this is the worst flu I've ever encountered. But I didn't think much of it. And when I'd gotten to a stage that my mom became seriously concerned about my health was at the vomiting, and she was like, no, I need to take Nicole to the doctor. Sorry. And so she took me to the doctor, and he looked at the state I was in, and he saw me immediately. He didn't have many other patients there, but he saw me immediately because he was like, okay, this is it looks like a serious case. I couldn't even dress myself. I couldn't get out of bed for like a couple days, really. I was in a very bad way, like very, very sick. And really, I just thought, yo, this is like the worst flu. Like, what the heck did I catch? And bear in mind, this was before Corona. So, if I'd caught this during the coronavirus, I would have thought, forget it, it's the end for me. But we went into the doctor's office and he asked me a couple questions. He asked my mom some questions because I could barely speak. And then he came to examine me, did the usual, took his stethoscope, checked my heart, checked my ears with the little light thingy. I forgot what that thing's called. And then he asked me, because I kept like bending over and I couldn't keep my eyes open because of like the light sensitivity. I even had a blanket over my head because I couldn't handle like any source of light. And as you know, doctors operate during the day. They don't have special services for vampires. So at least not to my knowledge. So I had this thing over my head and I had to take it off, obviously, when he examined me, and I was just groaning in pain because of like the light. And then he asked me, do you have pain in your neck? And then like I was like, I think so, because like everything was paining. So I couldn't have told him what part of me wasn't paining. So he poked me gently and I kind of like yelped in pain. And then he said to my mom, you gotta take her to hospital immediately because I think she has meningitis. And if you don't know, meningitis is like an infection of, I can't really remember all of the details of the medical stuff, excuse me if I get it incorrectly, but it's like an infection on the spinal fluid that connects to your brain, like on the fluid that like surrounds your brain, but like in the spine, the back of your head, yeah, because like that's where the pain was centered, like around here mostly. I think that might have been due to some swelling or something, but I'm not a medical doctor, so I couldn't explain all the logistics to you. So I was rushed to hospital, and in South Africa, when I say rushed to hospital, what I mean was I went to sit in a hospital waiting room for like 6 hours because that's what it's like in South Africa. If you can and you're coming to South Africa, make sure you have private healthcare because seriously, it's that bad. And bear in mind, patient presenting with potential meningitis, which includes photosensitivity, they took me and put me into a hospital bed. I think it took my mom like an hour or two for them to actually like take me in and put me in a hospital bed, and then they left me in a corridor for quite some time with direct sunlight beating down on me. Yeah, that's the South African healthcare system. And that was fun. As you can tell, I was in a lot of pain. But I tried to sleep it off while my mom was running around trying to sort out what was happening. I dozed in and out, and then eventually they wheeled me to a ward sometime later. And what happened was, when I went into the ward, the doctors came around to do their rounds with the students, and then they said that in order to test for whether or not I have meningitis, they're gonna have to do a lumbar puncture. Now, if you don't know what a lumbar puncture is, it's painful. It's like, oh, wow, it's painful. It's called a spinal tap, and it's kind of exactly what it sounds like. They take a giant needle and shove it in your back and extract fluid from your spine. Sounds pretty painful? Is painful as hell, right? So they did that to me a couple times while I was in hospital. I'm gonna get to that in a second. And then they tested it and they confirmed I had meningitis. And then they explained to us there are two different types of meningitis, bacterial and viral. However, they could not confirm which one I had. It's like, oh, great, thanks so much. Thanks for confirming I'm sick. You know. But yeah, so they confirmed that I had meningitis, and then I stayed in the hospital for a couple of days. In case you didn't know, South African hospitals have food that is majority of the time inedible. Like, they came once to me and gave me food. No offense to the nurses or the cooks or anything. I know that they are working with whatever resources the government or whoever's in charge provides them with. I know that. No offense to them at all. But like, yo. They brought me something that I tasted and I couldn't tell if it was chicken or tuna. And I was too scared to eat anything else. So when my family came to visit me in hospital, what they would do is they would bring me fruit and things to eat rather, because like that's your safest bet. Don't eat things in public hospitals. As like, if you can help it, just really don't. Only trust the things that you can identify. So yeah. And while I was in hospital, I just spent a lot of time sleeping. I The nurses wanted to put me on a bedpan, and I was like, oh, hell to the no. I will freaking walk a kilometer in this state rather than sit on a bedpan. So I got up and went to the bathroom rather. But at that point I was just surprised that I could walk. Even though some of the nurses were quite attentive, they were quite caring. They didn't they weren't always there around you, because I know that they have a lot of patients and it's overwhelming to work like that, but they would be nearby, right? But I had a lumbar puncture, I think the second day as well. So yeah, did that like twice, and then like the third day as well, they needed another lumbar puncture, I believe, because I do know that it was about 3 or 4 times that this doctor and his interns came and did a lumbar puncture. Now there was another intern that was assigned to my case, and this is where the story gets a little bit hairy. She came to do the lumbar puncture alone with the doctor at one time. I think it might have been because she missed her practical or whatever, I don't know. Or she needed more experience with it. And yeah, I think that was the third time. And that was painful, very much so, like as the previous 2 times. But I understood. I am all here to support medical professionals. I know your job can be extremely hard and you can be very stressed out. So I don't blame you for being stressed out. However, one of the days when I was in hospital, I think I was in hospital for maybe like 2 or 3 days or so. But what happened was, this intern came on the one day alone without her doctor that was assigned to teach her, right? I forgot what those kind of guys are called. and she came to do a lumbar puncture, right? And I kid you not, this was how she did the lumbar puncture. She took a pen, right? I sat there in my gown, ass hanging out for the world to see. Not really though, I think I had underwear on. But you know, the back of your gown is like open, right? And so she took a pen and she drew a circle on my spine where the needle was supposed to go in. A pen, right? Not very sterile at all. And I don't know if they have sterile pens at the hospital. I doubt it. Because it's not supposed to be used for that. And then she took the needle and put it in my spine. But it wasn't done correctly. And it was painful. And she didn't get any fluid. When she pulled, it was freaking painful. It was the most painful thing I've ever experienced. And trust me, I had a kid. And I was in labor for 42 hours. So, not at that particular time. But she pulled and it hurt. And then she pulled the needle out and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I have to do it again. I did it wrong." And so she did it again. And she did it wrong again. And then she took the needle out and said, "I'm so sorry, I have to do it again." And she took a pen and made another little circle on my back and tried again. And she did it wrong again. And then she did it like another time. And after that, I was like, I can't handle this anymore. I can't. And I need to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go now to the bathroom. No, you can't just come and play with my back. I mean, too much, man. I can't handle it. And so she was trying to pressure me into continuing. But I said, no, I'm not going to do it. Even in the state that I was in, I was like, I can't do this, you know. I really did try to be understanding. During my periods where I was a bit more like awake, you know, I had sort of befriended. There was a young lady that was in the bed next to mine because I was like in a communal ward. And, sorry, and I had, you know, started talking to her here and there when I could keep my eyes open, you know, especially in the evenings when the light was lower. And all those kind of things. And she would tell me about her family. It was quite nice to speak to her. But she was very friendly and talkative, which was good. I don't know what she was in for. But in any case, I can't remember. And then what happened was I went to the bathroom and this intern said, "Okay, I'll wait here and we'll see if you'd like to try again." And I went to the bathroom and I took forever to come out because I was like, I'm not gonna do this out there. I'm already in so much pain. I'm not gonna add to my pain. How the heck do I figure out how to tell her no? I'm just not gonna do this. You can't come and get this thing wrong like a couple 100 times and expect me to just deal with the pain, you know? And so when I got back to the room, my roommate, in a sense, was furious and she was cussing. And I was like, oh, what happened? Are you okay? And she said to me, "No, the stupid biatch of a doctor." And I was like, what happened now? You know, because I'd been gone for like, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes or so. And she said to me that this intern, when I left, was sort of cussing me out in my absence and saying that it's not her fault that I am too fat for her to do the lumbar puncture properly. Bear in mind, she did it like 4 times, drew on my back with a freaking pen in order to find where she must go in, but said I was too fat for her to figure out how to do her job. And this is an individual that is in healthcare today. Yeah, I was stunned. And she came back later and said she wants to try again with the other doctor present. So I said, no, you're not going to touch me again. Even in my state, I said, you're not going to touch me again. And when my family came to visit, my mom came in and I told her what happened. And she went to go inquiry and stuff with the doctors. And the doctor said, oh, it was just an accident. Oh, you know, she wasn't supposed to be there on her own. But I don't know why she came there on her own. but they did not take any remedial action. I never got an apology. It never went any further. Even when I had to come in for some outpatient care, they just didn't really care about me after that experience, because my mom and I complained essentially to the hospital about this intern. And it seems that she had ties to like a famous medical family in Cape Town, and might have been like the daughter of one of these individuals, because it's like brothers that have a specific surname, and the one has a practice, the other one has a practice, and it's like a whole family business. So I think that it's possible there was some favoritism on that end. But yeah, she was a terrible intern. I do not know if she's a good doctor now. If I had my wits about me at that time, I definitely would have sued the pants off that hospital for this, because I fully believe that was medical malpractice. But let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe I was crazy. Maybe I am just too fat for a doctor to do their job. I don't know. You let me know what you think in the comments. But yeah, that's my story. Let me know if you are an overweight person and you've had a similar experience, because that was the first time that I had that experience, but I have never been a sickly individual. So that happened. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for being here. I completely appreciate you. If you are in hospital or sick, or know someone that's in hospital or sick right now, I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope that they get better soon. I'll trust with you that things improve, and I hope you're taking care of yourself, because that is super, super important. I caught meningitis probably from frequently traveling to and from my home to town in crowded taxis, and yeah, me no do that again. I'm not doing that again. So yeah, and also if there's like a vaccine or something for it, like freaking get it, because you do not need a doctor to stab you in the back like 4 or 5 times incorrectly to when you can just take one shot. You know what I mean? Prevention is better than a cure, as they always say. But anyway, thanks again for joining me, and I hope you have a great evening further. Cheers.